miss the feeling.
For Total Home Pest Control, who are you going to call?
Call the Bug Man, 923-BUGS.
For total pest control for your home or business, call the original Salvant.
Call the Bug Man today, 923-BUGS.
Guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Welcome to hour one of today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show. Here's hoping that your weekend was an absolutely fabulous one. If not, well, like we like to say, every Monday, right about this time of the day, good Lord willing, you will still be here when the next one rolls our way, and you can try it all over again. We start today's show talking about something that many of us never give more than a passing thought to: the caring for individuals that are not, quote, of our family. Many kinship caregivers all across the nation and right here in Louisiana are finding themselves up against some insurmountable odds, for lack of a better phrase, when it comes to dealing with kinship and the caregiving therein. The Louisiana Department of Children and Family Services has pioneered a great program to help us all get through this COVID-19 pandemic. And joining us to talk more about kinship caregivers and the Kinship Navigation Program is Dr. Rhenda Hodnett, the Assistant Secretary for Child Welfare. Dr. Hodnett, good morning, and how are you today?
Good morning. I'm great. Thank you for having me.
So what was the impetus for DCFS partnering with 211?
Well, you know, 211's been a great partner with us for many, many years, probably more than 15 years. And 211, what they do great is get out information and referral resources to the community. And so we knew that we have a lot of relative caregivers who are seeking information and referral and resources, particularly at this time. And so we knew that 211 would be a great resource to partner with in order to get that information out.
So exactly who falls into the category of kinship caregivers?
We know many kinship caregivers are relatives, so grandparents or aunts or uncles, but it also includes family friends sometimes, or a godparent, anyone who is known to the child and in that child's network, so to speak. So many of the kinship caregivers are not technically related to a child, although most are.
So exactly how does the system work?
Well, the Kinship Navigator program is a program that actually is funded by the federal government, so U.S. Department of Children and Family Services. And through our department, the Department of Children and Family Services, we were charged with finding a way to help kinship caregivers navigate the system that is often so difficult to navigate for the general public. And so we developed lots of resources that would be able to assist families in knowing where to start, where to go when they're having these challenges. We conducted lots of focus groups with people who are providing kinship caregiver to find out what are the challenges that they most often face, and then try to put into place resources to respond to those challenges.
So what kind of numbers are we talking about nationwide and, of course, here in Louisiana as far as kinship caregivers are concerned?
So we're really talking about some pretty large numbers. So nationwide, approximately 3 million children are being raised in some sort of kinship caregiving situation. So, about 1 in 10 children at some point in their life before they reach age 18 will be in a kinship caregiving setting. It's pretty amazing when you think about those numbers. In Louisiana, it's about 65,000 children who are being raised in a kinship caregiver setting.
So what sort of resources can you refer kinship caregivers to with the Kinship Navigator program?
Well, the most common challenge that kinship caregivers face are the legal challenges, trying to understand what type of custody do they have? What are they actually able to secure on behalf of these children? What protections do they have legally when caring for these children? They often wonder about the educational system and the healthcare system. How can they access these services? And so we partnered with 211 and community providers throughout the state to help kinship caregivers navigate those systems in particular. We actually have a fantastic brochure, a kinship caregiver booklet, if you will, on our website, dcfs.la.gov, and then go to Kinship, and it is filled with all of the information a caregiver could want about navigating the system, both legal, education, and behavioral health.
You mentioned that the program started some time ago. Obviously, you don't undertake an effort of this magnitude without having any number of steps along the way. What have you been able so far, albeit still early in the effort? What efforts have you included so far?
So, as I said, we started with focus groups, right? So we went across the state and met with various people who were experiencing these challenges to ask, what is it that you need? What would be most helpful to you? And then we knew we would start from there. What we heard, as I said earlier, is that navigating the legal system was really the number one challenge for these people. We also heard a lot about struggles with education and behavioral health. So we then went out and tried to identify community partners in every part of the state that specialize in this, that specialize in understanding the unique challenges that kinship caregivers face. Many of the people who provide kinship caregivers, those who step up in times of need for these children, are over age 50, and many of them are living on a very limited income. And so the challenges are even greater for them. When you think about trying to make sure that the educational needs of these young children are met when it's been quite some time since you've had to deal with that yourself with your own children, perhaps.
Right.
The behavioral health system can be very complex. And so trying to identify community partners who are uniquely skilled to work with people who are providing kinship care was really a number one goal for us. And so when a person contacts 211 and identifies themselves as a kinship caregiver, then 211 has a specific set of resources that they can refer them to.
While you do offer those specific resources, in the midst of this COVID-19 pandemic and all the uncertainty around it, it seems as though this program will also offer an extra added benefit of peace of mind to kinship caregivers, and quite frankly, just knowing that someone cares and they're there to help.
You're right. So often it is just having someone to process this challenge or this information with. And that alone can be very reassuring. And, these people who step up and take on this role as a kinship caregiver provide such comfort and stability to these children. And so we want to do everything we can to support them and help them navigate what is sometimes a very complex system.
So is there any charge to access these services through the Kinship Navigation Program, and how do people go about becoming a part of it?
So no, there is no charge whatsoever. Mm-hmm. So people can dial 211 anytime, day or night, 24/7, 365 days a year, and access their vast information and referral system. They can also text. So you can text Kinship LA to 898-211, and that will allow you to enter your zip code, and that way you can get resources that are specific to your area.
And I've got to imagine that since we are talking about children here, any and all information will be kept strictly confidential?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The information is completely confidential. There's no charge, and it's all confidential.
If you would, again, Dr. Hodnett, give us the website where we can find out more information on the Kinship Navigation Program.
Sure. It's dcfs.la.gov/kinship.
Fantastic. Dr. Rhenda Hodnett, the DCFS Assistant Secretary for Child Welfare, thank you so much for the time, and hopefully we will have every single person that needs this resource go to your website, find out more, and let's do what we all can to help the kids out during this pandemic.
That'd be great. Thank you so much for promoting this information. I really appreciate it.
You are quite welcome. Dr. Rhenda Hodnett, I should have said, with the Department of Children and Family Services, is the Assistant Secretary for Child Welfare. It is something many of us never truly take the time to think about, but it's times like these that make us have to check out all the resources that are available out there. And at the end of the day, it's all about the kids. It's a free service, and it's something that someone watching right now, I know, can get some peace of mind if they simply take the time to check it out. All right, we are up against our first break of hour one. We will get that out of the way, and when we do, we will come back for segment number 2 of the Monday edition of the Clarence Bugg Show. Keep it right where you've got it, here on the Pelican.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Exiles from what you ask? Exiled from the radio. But now, we're on your television.
I'm Bill Perfita, he's Kevin Gallagher, and they kicked us to the curb.
But we're back.
We are back with Exiles Television on the Pelican Broadcasting Network. We're going to bring you the newsmakers. We're also going to take your calls and give you great information. It's going to be the best damn radio show on television.
Look for it on your cable system or download the app, PelicanSportsTV.com.
Live and play on the Fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreysstoneCountryClub.com.
I'll leave for a little while. And all you other letters think you can take over my town. Look at you. None of you's even involved. If the people want the money they deserve for their accident,
the guarantee.
And as for you other letters, it's time you were erased.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Contea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Contea, your Italian dining will change forever.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent.
Depend on us for service, for selection, for price.
Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing.
You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Welcome back for segment 2 of hour 1 of today's edition of the Clarence Bugg Show. The entire law enforcement community today is mourning the loss of yet another member of their family. 2 officers involved in a shooting over the weekend, leaving one dead and another clinging for his life. 2 officers responded to reports of gunfire and encountered a gunman on Conrad Drive, that's near Winburn Avenue and North Foster. According to official police documents, 36-year-old Ronnie Cato, a man with a history of making threats against police, has been identified as the shooter. It is something that we unfortunately are entirely too familiar with here in the capital city. And it is yet another very telling episode of what the brave men and women that wear the blue are up against every single day. It is unfathomable for many of us. But for these brave men and women, it is a reality of the job day in and day out. Authorities are now saying that Cato's actions corresponded with earlier threats that he had made against officers of the law. And it truly is a very sad commentary that no one was able to reach this individual before things got to this point. To his credit, Chief Murphy Paul, since the inception of his administration with the BRPD, has implored all of us that if you see something, say something. Not necessarily to law enforcement, but to a pastor, to a grandparent, to a friend, someone that an individual hell-bent on chaos in the community can either relate to and or respect. Sadly, it was well known this individual had made prior threats against law enforcement, and yet no one was able to reach this person. Sadly, we have lost already too many great law enforcement officers in the community, and unfortunately, we now have that list grow even longer. Many people question whether or not thinking at this point about reopening the state, the city, the nation is the appropriate thing to do. But I'm sure you're well aware that we have talked ad nauseum about the psychological and the mental impact of what we've all been subjected to as a result of stay-home orders, the losing of jobs, et cetera, et cetera. It is one of those things that plays havoc with the human psyche. And if you are not blessed to have a serious support system in place, then it's not that big of a stretch of the imagination to see individuals resorting to violence and things of this nature. Domestic violence calls, we are fairly aware by now, are some of the most dangerous ones that law enforcement gets called out to. And I guess from a layperson's point of view, it's the emotion that's involved in the moment. And unfortunately, somebody has to deal with that. And for the brave men and women in blue that do this every single day, it is something that many of them, quite frankly, they dread because they know what could potentially happen any given day, any given time, in any given domestic violence situation. It is a well-known fact that many mental health agencies in our area have ramped up their efforts in the wake of this pandemic and all that we have been subjected to with stay-home orders and the like. Many people don't have the luxury of getting away from the home setting. And if that setting was contentious at best prior to the start of the pandemic, you are now looking at a recipe for disaster. It is something that, again, we are all too familiar with here in Baton Rouge. And sadly, it's not just Baton Rouge. All over Louisiana, all over this great nation of ours, law enforcement many times, in many instances, finds itself literally under siege. I think back to the Sunday that many of us will never forget. And it's eerily ironic that this shooting happens on a Sunday as well. I don't know what we are going to have to do to reach young people, disturbed individuals, those that don't particularly care for law enforcement. But instances like this, when they occur, should trouble every single person watching right now. At the end of the day, someone has to be in charge. And when all is said and done, holding people accountable for their actions is something that every civilized society has embedded in its culture. Unfortunately, in recent memory, we've seen more and more individuals of the opinion that they are entitled to do whatever it is they want to do in our society. That, my friends, is why we have law enforcement. And at the end of the day, they are still highly underpaid, highly overstressed, and in many cases, underappreciated. Now, let me add for the record, here in the city of Baton Rouge, being underappreciated, I think that's relegated to a fairly small percentage of the population. All you have to do is look back to the wake of the Alton Sterling incident and the officers that lost their lives and the overwhelming outpouring of support for law enforcement here in Baton Rouge. Just when we thought we had started getting over that hump, now we find ourselves right back at square one all over again. Growing up in a military household, I gained a unique perspective on law enforcement and law and order. And I understand full well that not everyone was blessed to have that same upbringing. I get it. But at the end of the day, those of us that appreciate law enforcement, those of us that appreciate the rule of law, and those of us that truly and fully understand what would be in store if we did not have law enforcement, it's now up to you and I to spread that gospel. It's not enough to have in your heart a love for law enforcement. It's no longer enough to keep those feelings inside, because quite frankly, criminals rely on us doing just that. They wait for you and I to become complacent. They wait for you and I to not cooperate with law enforcement anytime the need arises. When we do that, this is what ends up happening. And again, it is truly a sad commentary that no one in the circle of friends or the circle of influence, if you will, of this person was not able to reach that individual before Baton Rouge found itself mourning another law enforcement officer. We are assuming that at some point in the day today, the names of the wounded officer and the deceased officer will be released by the BRPD. It is something, quite frankly, I'm not looking forward to, because as a guy who's done radio for many years in Baton Rouge, done a lot of work with Crime Stoppers, done a lot of work with the BRPD, the East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office, and law enforcement in general, it is a painful wound. And for those that are in law enforcement, they'll tell you it's a wound that never truly, totally heals. Baton Rouge needs some healing right about now. The law enforcement family needs some healing right about now. And the communities that these individuals serve, we truly, certainly need some healing as well. Let's just make it a point, if we will, guys and girls, that not another officer's life will be lost in vain. It is something that, while many of you look at it as an adversarial relationship, there are the communities and then there's law enforcement. At the end of the day, these brave men and women are us. They live where we live, work where we work, worship, play, shop where we all do. And when all is said and done, they are truly the soul of our city. And it would truly, truly be a sad commentary if you and I and the entire Baton Rouge community didn't do every single thing within our power to be sure this never happens again. If you think about it, the magnitude of a law enforcement officer being murdered by a member of the public, if that individual would be so brazen, so selfish as to do that to someone who stands as a symbol of the law, imagine what that same individual would have no hesitation or reservation about doing to you and I. Many of you never take the time to think of it in those terms. Hopefully, you will not have to ask the rest of us to mourn for your family member that was killed because we didn't support law enforcement the way we should. Yet another sad day in the capital city. Yet another sad day in the state of Louisiana. And yet another sad day for the law enforcement family. Those of you that are members of the community of faith, I know for a fact, Chief Murphy Paul, the entire BRPD, and the entire law enforcement community would not mind in the least if you were to be so kind as to keep them all in your thoughts and in your prayers. Bottom of the hour, we get break number 2 out of the way, and we'll roll on with hour 1 of the Clarence Buggs Show here on the Pelican. Stay close.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
For total home pest control, who are you going to call?
Call the Bug Man, 923-BUGS.
For total pest control for your home or business, call the original Salvat.
Call the Bug Man today, 923-BUGS.
They said I could find you here. Why are you fishing? Our company's got to ship out 2 full color brochures and 20 color copies. You're killing me.
It's done. Designed, printed, packaged, and shipped.
How?
You just got to know the right people. Baker Printing, the printing people.
How come you get to fish in this private lake?
Like I said, you just got to know the right people. You can know the right people too.
Welcome back for segment 3 of hour 1 of today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show. It is something that we have all been waiting for, and hopefully we'll be able to get some hard answers today to what is in all likelihood going to be a soft reopening of Louisiana's economy. In the last half week or so, many states, well, maybe I shouldn't say many, a number of states have started the process of reopening, restarting their economies. Those particular states, unlike the state of Louisiana, did not suffer the high number of COVID-19 cases nor the fatalities. As a matter of fact, just an article this morning that I ran across pointed out that the state of Louisiana so far has had right at 6% the number of fatalities of individuals that have contracted COVID-19. It is a number that's much higher than other states, somewhat higher than others, but does not bode well for the state of Louisiana and our returning to normalcy anytime soon. But all across the country, and I would probably imagine across the world as well, particularly in societies like ours, where capitalism is the economic force that we all subscribe to, there's an outcry now. People, and if you've been in the workforce for, I don't know, the last 20, 30 years, you probably never thought you would see a time where individuals would be chomping at the bit to get back to work. Now, I will leave to you to decide what the driving factor is. If people are simply tired of being at home, they're tired of the family, they're tired of inactivity, whatever. I'll let you be the ultimate judge in deciding that. But for those of us that are capitalists and those of us that believe in the free market economy, we understand full well that our economy cannot continue to operate this way. And I know many of you are probably saying, Clarence, we're not operating at all. We're all stuck at home. Nobody's working. Nobody's making money. The government is just printing money like it's 40 going north. And that's a scary thought for a lot of people. When all is said and done, while some of us may enjoy being at home and having the federal government send us a check, always remember something. The federal government has no money. The only money that the government has to operate on is money that comes from working people. If people are not working, then the government has no money. Well, Clarence, how can you say that? They just sent me a check last week. Yeah, and you would be right. Unfortunately, however, we have long since abandoned fiscal sanity in this country, and we no longer only issue money when we have collateral, gold, to back it up. The federal government now has gotten in the habit of printing money willy-nilly. And while it may be a short-term solution to the economic woes, at some point in time, a day of reckoning will come due. And I don't know about you, but I would hate to be the one to have to explain to our kids and to our grandkids how and why we mortgaged their entire future. At some point, all of this money is going to be reckoned with. And at the rate we are going right now, it is not going to be a pretty picture. I understand full well that a lot of people are scared to death to simply go out in public. But for those who have not been infected, for those of us who want to work, at some point we have got to allow these individuals to do that. Because right now, the fear factor is the overriding concern for many people and the virus itself. But keep in mind, whenever, quote, that day comes, when we're able to move past the health concern, the health of our economy, it's not going to be a pretty picture. It truly is not going to be a pretty picture. And later today, Governor John Bel Edwards is scheduled to give us an overview of the soft reopening of our economy. Quite frankly, I don't think it can happen soon enough. Now, that being said, understand fully, just this weekend, had to go out to the grocery store, and once again, I was totally amazed with the number of people that apparently have never even heard of COVID-19. The number of people that are continually ignoring the social distance guidelines, the number of people continually that bring their kids in and allow them to just have free reign in the store continues to boggle my mind. If, in fact, Louisiana hopes to reopen for business anytime soon, that's got to change. Now, it's one thing for me to say it. Realistically, if we haven't done it by now, a reasonably sensible person would have to wonder, what are the odds that we're going to be able to do it to reopen the economy? Paychecks are being lost. Businesses are closing. Tax revenue and collections off the charts. At some point, we've got to right this ship. And I understand for those of you that are afraid, those of you that aren't comfortable yet going out in public, in businesses, so on and so forth, the soft opening will not be for you. I don't think there's a single person involved in government that wants to put you in a situation that you're not comfortable with. And at the end of the day, it is still America, and you still have the right to find another job. If this business opens up and you're not comfortable with the protocols that are being used, well, it is certainly your right as an American to be able to say, you know what, I think I'll pass on this job. I'll take the next one when it comes by. But when all is said and done, the business owners need to be in a position to make the determination what is best for them, what is best for their business, for their family, and for the public. And quite frankly, I can't tell you the number of times since all of this pandemic started that I've walked into a store, saw that social distancing was not being followed, saw that individuals had a pretty cavalier attitude about the whole thing, and I immediately turned around and walked out. I'm one of those individuals that believes personal responsibility is the biggest thing that we can all exercise to keep ourselves safe. There is no law written where you have to patronize certain places. It is still America, and when all is said and done, if you're not comfortable with something, it is your right and it is your option to leave. But in the meantime, We've got to restart this economy, guys and girls. We cannot continue to operate in this fashion. And I understand that not everybody paid attention in economics class. I understand not everybody elected to take statistics. I understand not everybody fully understands how the free market works. But at the end of the day, think of it this way. In your household, without any revenue coming in, what happens if you continue to spend and spend and spend and spend? I think we all know at the end of that exercise what the ultimate outcome will be. The same holds true for our governments. Local, state, national, all fall within that area. And a lot of folks were wondering, how long is it going to be with all the individual states and municipalities not working, not generating revenue? How long is it going to be before the cities, the states start looking to the federal government for a bailout? If you think the federal government has been printing and spending money like 40 going north, just wait until the individual states and municipalities start screaming at the top of their lungs, we need money from Uncle Sam as well. Keeping in mind, Uncle Sam doesn't have any money. Uncle Sam has your money. When you go to work, Uncle Sam reaches into that check and extracts out of every single dollar you make a percentage for Uncle Sam. And if nothing else, those of you that are hell-bent on keeping things closed until everything is, quote, okay, remember this. If Uncle Sam doesn't have any money right now, never did actually, he only took money from working people, with you no longer working, what is Uncle Sam going to get? I know a lot of you hadn't taken the opportunity to think that far down the road, but if ever there was a time where, and I know it's apples and oranges, but it is somewhat apropos. You remember the old saying, the old posters that Uncle Sam needs you in the war efforts? Well, number one, this certainly is a war. Number two, Uncle Sam does need you, because right now, all the checks that are going out, it's not Uncle Sam's money. And when the states and the municipalities start saying, Uncle Sam, we need you, then Uncle Sam is going to have to dig deeper in his pockets, or actually in your pockets, to bail out the municipalities and the states. It's not a pretty picture, and it's going to be this way for a while. But the sooner we can return business to operating, the more we can mitigate the impact all across the board. Hoping Governor John Bel Edwards will announce a soft reopening of our economy today. Final break of hour one, we get her done, and we'll talk more here on the Pelican. Stay close.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Exiles from what you ask? Exiled from the radio. But now, we're on your television.
I'm Bill Perfita, he's Kevin Gallagher, and they kicked us to the curb.
But we're back.
We are back with Exiles Television on the Pelican Broadcasting Network. We're going to bring you the newsmakers. We're also going to take your calls and give you great information. It's going to be the best damn radio show on television.
Look for it on your cable system or download the app, PelicanSportsTV.com.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Contea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Contea, your Italian dining will change forever.
Live and play on the Fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreysstoneCountryClub.com.
Welcome back for hour one of today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show. Make up your mind, Marty. You're doing this one. You're doing that. Which one is it? All right. Thank you kindly, sir. We'll put that on Alan. Won't put that one on Marty. It is expected at a news conference at 4 o'clock this afternoon that Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards will start outlining the expiration of the current stay-at-home order. It is designed, ideally, to give all of us a few days heads up notice. It is in no way, shape, or form, let me hasten to add, going to be an immediate return to normalcy. It is what we call many times a soft launch or a soft opening. There will be any number of places that will not be allowed to resume operation as normal. And of course, this is all dependent upon numbers. As I mentioned earlier, here in Louisiana, we have a higher fatality rate than most other states from COVID-19. 6% of the individuals contracting the disease to date have died as a result of it. That number is much higher than others, and as a result, the governor has already warned that the relaxation of the stay-at-home order comes with any number of caveats. And to use his terminology, it's a one-way street. If, in fact, after opening whatever businesses Governor John Bel Edwards deems can be opened, if we see a spike in the number of cases, then those businesses will be forced once again to close. So as a result, I understand full well, and I'm sure the governor does as well, people have cabin fever. They're quite frankly going stir crazy. Been cooped up indoors for too long, are raring to get back out and resume life in its normalcy. It's not going to be that kind of party, y'all. It is a new normal, and we're going to have to ease ourselves into this. And the last thing any of us want is, in the effort to reopen the economy, in the effort to resume normalcy, we end up with more people getting the virus and once again having to shut everything down. It's kind of like when you were kids, at least us boomers. I don't know what the parents do these days. But when you got caught doing something that you had no business doing, there was discipline to be had. And after that, the time-consuming process was re-earning the trust of those that you had offended, in this case, your parents. You were not able, after getting caught doing whatever it was that you did, you weren't able to automatically just quickly resume normal activities. There was a price to pay. And until you earned your parents' trust again, many of the things that they allowed you to do prior, you can't do those things until you earn that privilege again. The same will be true with Louisiana and reopening the economy. It's, I guess it's human nature that when you've been stuck in something for a while, something that you find disagreeable, something that you find uncomfortable, the minute you are able to get out of there, oh man, you just let it all hang out. Again, this is not the time for that, y'all. Caution will continue to be the operative word of the day. Persistence, perseverance, patience, all of those things will continue to figure into the equation. We are a long way away from being normal. And unfortunately, a lot of our state's economy is dependent upon things that feed on the situations being normal. Here in Louisiana, we need people to buy oil and gas. We need them to drive their cars, not just in our state, but in our nation and the world. Here in Louisiana, we need people to come and visit to New Orleans, to St. Gabriel, to Baton Rouge, to New Roads, to Monroe, to all these places where they can indulge themselves in eating Louisiana seafood, enjoying Louisiana music, exploring Louisiana culture. But those folks aren't going to do that, even if their states relax the stay-at-home orders, but Louisiana continues to ignore all the social distancing guidelines and the things that the experts say we need to do. This could well be a great opportunity, albeit a slow reopen, a soft reopen. While we have yet to show our true Louisiana colors by doing, all of us, what we should do during this pandemic, this could be a great opportunity to show the rest of the states and the world that Louisiana is not only open for business, but they're open for business and they're doing it in a safe fashion. The citizens of this great state, hardworking, decent people as they are, deserve the opportunity once again to make their own way. And while this was something that was totally outside of our doing, the recovery part of it is something that all of us can take a hand in. 4 o'clock this afternoon, John Bell Edwards will lay out his vision. And again, lest you get your hopes up entirely too high, the governor's not going to come back and say, okay, problem solved, everybody go back to work. There's going to be a whole lot of caveats in that. And I can imagine, as is the case, anytime a decision of this magnitude is made, there are going to be some happy folk and there are going to be some mad people. Well, how can you let them go back to work? My job is just as important as theirs. The governor's going to lay all of that out for us at 4 o'clock this afternoon. And quite frankly, a lot of people are enamored with power and position, but I think John Bell Edwards will be the first to tell you that these are not good days to be a governor. Now, on the other hand, fortunately for John Bell Edwards, he does have a state full of really, really good people. And while people in my line of work take the time many times to focus on those of us that aren't doing the right thing, there are still a whole lot of Louisiana folks out there that are. And those are the ones that I trust. Those are the ones that I have confidence in that can start to reopen our economy and still be cognizant of the other issues on the periphery. The fact that this virus is going to be around for a while, but we know how to deal with it now, and we will do the right thing. Personally, as a guy in broadcasting, and many other occupations, not to only single out broadcasting, but many of us in the winter, we automatically shift into a different mode. Some of you may or may not know this, and it may explain something to you, but in the winter, I don't shake hands anymore. I don't bro hug anymore because it's flu season. And the only way you can get in front of a microphone is if you have a voice. And if you get the flu, or if you get strep, or if you get the common cold, talking for a living gets thrown out of the window. So I'm already of the mind, the frame of mind that there's certain things I can't do anymore, at least not until all of this passes. Once you get in that mindset, the human psyche is a funny thing. You would be amazed at what you can get used to. And it really doesn't take that long. All you need is the right impetus, enough persuasion, or better yet, deadly consequences, COVID-19, and you find yourself all of a sudden doing things that you never thought you'd be able to do, and more important, not doing things that you didn't think you were capable of not doing. It is going to be a new reality, but embrace it. Whatever it is that Governor John Bel Edwards lays out for us today, as far as a soft opening, reopening, if you will, embrace it. And let's, as Louisianians, make it a point to do the best at whatever it is we are now going to be allowed to do. We've made it this far, and we have managed to slow the spread of the disease. If we continue in that same vein and start the gradual reopening of our state's economy, we'll be able to put all of this in the rearview mirror. It's not going to be easy, not going to be quick, but that is the nature of the beast that we are dealing with these days. And for those of you out there that are still high risk, seniors, those with chronic health conditions, don't go into this expecting too much. My anticipation of this 4 o'clock press conference is going to be geared toward the rest of us. Those of us with chronic conditions, most of this will not apply to you. You will still be advised to continue doing what you're doing. It's only prudent. The folks that can go back to work, the healthy people, should. The folks that are recovering should continue their recovery. But those that fall into the high-risk category, I don't want to burst your bubble or anything, but don't hope for a heck of a whole lot of normalcy after the governor addresses the state today. It's just reality. And quite frankly, human nature dictates that if you don't get your hopes up too high, when the reality rolls around, you don't have that far to fall back down. A lot of us would love to see Governor Edwards come to the podium, say, all right, last press conference, everybody go back to work. See y'all down the road. But quite frankly, we all know that's not realistic. Well, most of us know that's not realistic. There will always be some out there that no matter what you do or how you do it, it will never be good enough. Those folks, we'll worry about them later on. In the meantime, let's just hope Governor John Bel Edwards, 4 o'clock this afternoon, will have some concrete measures on a soft reopening of the state of Louisiana. Quite frankly, it cannot happen soon enough. All the good folks in agriculture, all the good folks in tourism, all the good folks in oil and gas, all the good people in the hospitality industry need to go back to work. And when all is said and done, not just our economy, but the economy of the entire Northern Hemisphere needs to get back rolling. We need to get our top of the hour break out of the way. One of the things that's really been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic has been education here in Louisiana. And the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education is charged with educating our kids across the state. We will spend some time in the next hour talking with Heather Poole, who is a finalist for the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education. And I gotta ask her, did you really know what you were up against when you decided you wanted this job? We'll get our top of the hour break out of the way, and we'll start hour 2 of the Clarence Bugg Show right here on the Pelican. Stay close.
Hello, guys. It's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
For total home pest control, who are you going to call?
Call the Bug Man, 923-BUGS.
For total pest control for your home or business, call the original Salvant.
Call the Bug Man today, 923-BUGS.
Welcome back for the top of the hour start of hour 2 on today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show. Education is one of those things that has been severely impacted with the COVID-19 pandemic. And of course, here in Louisiana, the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education now finds itself squarely in the middle of trying to sort all of this out, and doing so with a new superintendent. The Board of Education's Superintendent Search Work Group has narrowed down to the finalist for the next individual that will head education here in the state of Louisiana. Heather Poole is one of the finalists and joins us today to talk about what all this will bode for education. Heather, good morning, and how are you today?
I'm doing fabulous, Clarence. Thank you so much for having me on.
Okay, so I got to ask, how many times since applying, how many times since becoming a finalist have you looked at the COVID-19 pandemic and said, I don't know if I should have applied for this right now?
Well, I got to tell you, it's been the exact opposite effect. I said, now more than ever do we need the strongest leader possible.
Bless your heart.
And of course, I would not have applied if I didn't think I was ready. Now, what we've seen because of the pandemic is just how divided we are amongst our most vulnerable, the two-third population that is the least advantaged, and how we have such a divide amongst our educational system. So it has definitely availed itself to see the gaps that are in our state. And one thing about, it's when you take over a job, you usually don't get the list of, here's all the problems that we have, and you have at least a starting point to begin working on something. Because of COVID-19, we have a stronger list now than ever before because we see where we have deficiencies. So it availed itself to show where we have major problems, and the only way to fix a problem is know that there is one. So I'm knowing that the job just got a lot harder, but at the same time, it does show where we need to prioritize some of our efforts.
So for people viewing right now that are not familiar with Heather Poole, Tell us something about yourself, and why is Heather Poole uniquely qualified for this job?
Well, I'll tell you, I did live in Baton Rouge for about 20 years, but it was after I grew up in a small town in northeast Louisiana called Vidalia.
Been there.
Small rural community, of course. Grew up in the poor Delta. I understand the diversity of our state, strongly understand the diversity of our state, product of public education, and went off to LSU and found myself completely underprepared for post-secondary. Wow. And have spent my entire career in education, but it's been a very unique career. Now I have a doctor of education from Louisiana Tech, as well as an MBA from LSU in Baton Rouge. But my education is not what makes me a candidate. My background and leadership ability as far as turning things around is what makes me the ideal candidate. Now, I have spent, like I said, 25 years in education for the betterment of our state. I've served as the Assistant Commissioner for Higher Education, the Board of Regents, working with assessment and education and economic development. So majority of my career I spent working with middle schools and high schools and trying to assist them in understanding what it took to be college ready. Because like I said earlier, I graduated from Vidalia High, I went off to college, and I found myself underprepared. Well, that still takes place today. Our students are still leaving high school underprepared, and yet we graduate them from high school and they think they're ready for the next step. And that's what should be. That should be the case. When you graduate with a diploma from a Louisiana high school, it should mean that you're ready for college, whatever that means. 2-year college, technical college, 4-year college, or even straight into the workplace. But we are seeing our graduates not coming out with that readiness level. So understanding the post-secondary side, understanding what it takes to be ready, I feel like I'm uniquely qualified. Now, I use the term outcome-based. I'm an outcome-based focused individual, which means what is our goal for producing graduates? Well, the goal is to produce a graduate that's ready for college or ready for work.
Right.
If you know what that definition is, then you can work your way backward and produce a graduate that is ready for that. Now, that's not only good for the student, that's good for the community and the state, and of course our business and industry partners, because they're going to have a stronger workforce.
Right.
But I am the only candidate that has both secondary and post-secondary experience. Now, for the last 6 years, I have worked at a 4-year institution as well as a community and technical college. Currently, I serve as the Executive Vice Chancellor for Central Louisiana Technical Community College. And it serves 12 parishes from Texas to Mississippi. It's a huge region. I have 8 campuses. And when I started 5 years ago with CLTCC, Central Louisiana Technical Community College, it was a failing community and technical college. It was $3 million in debt, and we didn't have strong business partners, and we had a declining enrollment. And today, it is one of the fastest growing community colleges, not only in our state, but in the south region of our country. It is extremely viable. I have 2 brand new campuses. I've been able to turn it around by building a team of individuals that see what our goal is and what we can do for our state and for our students that we serve. The same thing is true for this, what I consider the Department of Education. You have a failing system. We're 50th in the country. And while our Department of Education has put out a lot of wonderful public policy and has even received national accolades, we're still 50th. So we need someone who can implement programs and not just talk about programs. And that is where I've had tremendous success, is turning around 2 institutions in a short amount of time by getting everyone on board. And that's what we're going to have for our State Department of Education. We need the business and industry, our superintendents, our educators on board with where we're going. And unfortunately, that's not what we've had for the last 9 years. While we've seen, like I said, some positive changes, 50th is unacceptable. So that's a little bit about me. That's a little bit, of course, what got me interested in this. And that's some of the reasons why I feel like I am a strong candidate for this.
You mentioned the business community getting on board. You mentioned educators, administrators. What about parents? Obviously, that three-legged stool is not going to balance properly if parental involvement is not where it should be. Are you hopeful that maybe now, with the advent of the COVID-19 pandemic and so many parents now having their kids home, having to assist with the education process, that maybe now they will take a greater role and a greater interest in their child's education and hopefully make your job a little easier?
Well, Clarence, that's always the hope, right? It is always the hope that parents play a strong role. But what I've noticed as I've traveled around the state is talent of amazing students is equally dispersed, but opportunity is not. And parents, unfortunately, in many cases, have different life situations that do not avail themselves to support the students in the best manner. And that's where our schools have a great opportunity. While we know we're going to see a huge slide in students, like we always have had what's called the summer slide, where students are out of school for the summer and their math and reading skills slip. Well, we anticipate even a greater slide because of COVID-19. So we know that when we build a remediation plan for these students, we're going to have to not only look at ways where we can incorporate families into this, but incorporate more technology into this. You know, I look at now a computer as just being part of the cost of doing business.
Right.
When we tried to take educational programs that were face-to-face and brick and mortar and turned it into online schools, well, we saw that a huge number of our population were not connected. They didn't have the capabilities to getting online. That has to change. Now, I do feel like it has to be a multifaceted approach where we continue to work with our parents and assisting our parents into having a bigger role in this. And I do feel like that the COVID-19 will help to some degree. Unfortunately, there's still going to be a huge divide with the students that do not have that support. And that's where education is going to have to take up a bigger role and do more. It's not going to be easy. It may change what a traditional school year looks like. You know, we'll learn today from our governor what the stay-at-home order is going to look like and how this soft lift of re-engagement back into the communities will look like at 4 o'clock when the governor has his press conference.
Right.
But we don't necessarily know what this school year will look like. I have a suspicion that, and if it were up to me, we're going to have to do a lot more earlier than we traditionally start school. Perhaps you look at some of the strongest and best models out there, and it is looking at it more like year-long, like a quarter system, where students start earlier in the year, but yet we have an opportunity to provide them the remediation that they need and the technology that they need that should be integrated into our everyday curriculum. I think from now on we will see more of a blended approach in the classroom, especially if we, the state, are providing the tools for students so that they can be successful not only in the classroom but at home when they're doing online work and some lessons that are integrated into their face-to-face classroom experiences.
Finally, Heather, off the top of your head, what are the 3 biggest challenges you think the next superintendent will face, be they COVID-19 related or otherwise?
Well, we could always say money, money, money.
Right.
But unfortunately, I'm not going to say that in this regard. Money is always going to be a challenge, and we know that. I feel like we are going to have to provide stronger, relevant educational opportunities for students. I believe in technical education. I believe in community colleges and what they do for our state. The opportunity to bridge our secondary education and technical colleges, to me, is so critical. Here's one thing I say all the time. I will never put a program out that I wouldn't put my own child in. And I think that's what we've seen with the state, is that there's a lot of programs that are for, quote, those kids.
Right.
But they wouldn't put their own children in them. If we want to change the face of what Louisiana looks like, it has to be equitable education for all. So one is going to be integrating true educational programs that are equitable for all. 2, integrating relevant training to assist students so that they can graduate from high school with the skills that they need to be successful, whether they go on to a technical college, a community college, or straight into the workforce. And then I think we're going to have to focus a lot on early childhood. And, when students are entering kindergarten so underprepared that they start off on the path not ready for learning, then we know we're going to have to put some effort and attention into our early childhood initiatives. But those 3 areas, and of course integrating technology in all of those folds, are going to be critical. I support our teachers. It stands to say, and I know our governor has worked to try to address some of the funds to give them a pay raise. We are going to have to make certain that we continue to prioritize our educators in assuring that they have the salaries that they deserve in order to make a lot of these major changes that we're going to need to take place in the school systems across our state if we're going to see a true change. But it really has to be an equitable change across the state, and it's going to be built on relationships. We have to have our districts trust the Department of Education and know that the State Department of Education is a support agency to our districts, and make themselves available to the districts in order to implement some of these great programs and policies that have been set in place by others if we're going to get from beyond being 50th in the nation.
Well, hopefully that journey of 1,000 miles will start in the very near future, and before you know it, we will be able to look back and revel in the success that we've made in upgrading education in Louisiana. Heather Poole, finalist for Superintendent for the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education. Good luck to you. Thank you so much for the time, and please stay safe.
Hey, I will. And Clarence, I do want to tell your listeners, all of the interviews are available online at BESE's website.
Oh, yes.
And I encourage your listeners to email their BESE member. Get involved in the process. And email their BESE members that are elected or whether they're appointed by the governor. The governor has 3 appointed members, and every district has a local representative. Get involved in the process. Tell them what you want for the next state superintendent, and have a voice in this process as they hire someone to move our state forward.
Fantastic. Heather, thank you again for the time, and be safe.
Thank you. You too.
You're welcome.
Great talking to you.
Same
Take
here.
care now.
Thank you. All right, we are a little overdue for the first break of hour 2, so let's go ahead and get that done, and we'll talk more with you right where you've got it on the Clarence Bugg Show here on the Pelican. Stay close.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
That's right, the Clarence Bugg Show is back, along with the Exiles, Bill Profita and Kevin Gallagher. We've put the band back together, South Louisiana's talk team, and it's only on the Pelican. 10 a.m. till 12 noon, right here on the Pelican.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Contea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Contea, your Italian dining will change forever.
Back for segment 2 of hour 2 of today's edition of the Clarence Bugg Show. You know, it has really been interesting watching all of this unfold. And as a member of the media, I have found myself on God knows how many occasions wondering when we are going to progress to the next level of every chapter in the COVID-19 pandemic. It has been particularly bothersome to me, and I understand human nature. I know that so very many people are strictly laser focused on the health aspects of COVID-19. And you know, when you look at those that are most at risk, that is certainly a legitimate concern. There are others among us that are focusing a large portion of their energy now on restarting the economy and trying to mitigate the economic impact that has been so huge in our state, our nation, and the world. But it has been conspicuously absent, at least as far as I'm concerned, how and when we are going to hold China accountable for the carnage that's been unleashed on the rest of the civilized world. At some point, we are going to have to ask some very hard and pointed questions, and if we don't receive answers to our liking, those that we can verify, then China needs to pay a heavy price for this. In any other segment of life, something of this nature unleashed on an unsuspecting public, something with ramifications and implications this far-reaching and this large, would not be allowed to happen without there being a day where you have to answer for this. China, as most of us know, maybe excluding those that, for whatever reason, have started this love affair with communism, socialism, fascism, everything but capitalism. Most of us know China always has been, and probably always will be, one of those entities that, quite frankly, you just can't trust. They will tell you one thing today, something else tomorrow, and something else the day after that. And as is the case with so many regimes of this sort, they are the ones that will turn around and try to make you look like the bad guy if you say something about it. This cannot go unanswered by the powers that be. If that is allowed to happen, if you think COVID-19 was bad, God only knows what the next situation is going to be like. So while you're at home these days with a lot of excess time on your hands, it's never too early and it's never too late to start calling, emailing, writing your elected representation in our nation's capital and demand that something be done as far as holding China accountable in all of this. Those out there that have bought into this notion that China's doing the best they can, they're being forthcoming with all of this, they're giving us, the best information that they have, I beseech you to think again in that regard. When you are dealing with individuals the likes of China, if you don't look out for your best interest, you will be the one that ends up suffering. And quite frankly, there's only one thing China understands. Well, I'll stretch that into two. One is economic benefits, and two is individuals that stand up for themselves and will not allow themselves to be victimized by others. Fortunately, we have in President Donald Trump an individual that's more than willing to stand up to individuals like that. But at the end of the day, we need Congress to step up and do its part. It has been disheartening, the lack of strong condemnation, the lack of accountability coming from those that inhabit the Capitol. When all this is over with, yes, Americans are going to be glad to go back to work. Yes, Louisianians are going to be glad to go back to work. But how much faith do we have that we will hold the people accountable for all of this and mitigate the chances of this happening again? A whole lot of money is going to be spent to try and salvage the American economy. A whole lot of time has been lost in that regard. And the spending of those dollars is not anywhere near being over with. So, all that being said, in demanding accountability, we also need to demand from our elected leadership in Washington that whatever it takes, we start returning all these manufacturing jobs back to the United States of America. It is sinful that you and I, after having our livelihoods taken away from us, now have to depend on the country that started this entire debacle for medicine, for PPE, and for other things that are essential to our national security. That is sinful. It's disgraceful and should not be something that happens to the greatest country on the face of the earth in the history of humankind. We have allowed individuals to lead us down a path where, for the sake of getting something cheaper, we have farmed everything out to a foreign power that, quite frankly, gives less than a you-know-what about you and I. If they did, if they cared in the least, when this pandemic started, China would have been forthcoming, they would have been truthful, and they would have done what needed to be done to mitigate the spread of this virus. That didn't happen. And as a result, China once again has shown the entire world what you can expect from them unless you demand better. The manufacturing facilities that we allowed to leave this country for whatever reason, high taxes, uneducated workforce, geographical shortcomings, whatever, those businesses need to return back home to America. And listen, I understand full well how the free market works. Clarence, if you do that, that means we're going to pay more for medicine, we're going to pay more for the food that we eat, we're going to pay more for the clothes that we wear. Well, quite frankly, my opinion only, that's a small price to pay to return to being masters of our own destiny. Listen, folks out there will tell you, yeah, but Clarence, you got to understand, we're all interconnected on the globe these days. No man is an island. I get all that. But when all is said and done, Americans need medicine for Americans. When all is said and done, Americans need jobs where Americans can earn a living. When all is said and done, Louisiana, Utah, New York, Florida, Nevada are all going to need money from Uncle Sam to restart their economy and put people back to work. And quite frankly, it is my hope that starting from this day, whenever the first state is fully reopened again, we will never send another dollar someplace else until we are sure that all 50 states, all our territories, all are back and running the way they should be. This is a wake-up call for America. We all know that good or bad, right or wrong, despite what people here and around the world will tell you about America, we are the most gracious, the most giving, the most hospitable, and the hardest working people anywhere on the planet. And I don't think it's wrong in any way, shape, or form to be sure that all of our resources benefit us first. There is no way for us to help other people if America is ruined. There is no way that we can send resources to other places if America is not allowed to be America. Those in Washington respect nothing more than a vote and your voice. Maybe, as we watch our economy continue to languish, maybe the message here is that we aren't using either nearly as much as we should. There will always be naysayers. There will always be prophets of doom. But when all is said and done, bottom line, money makes the world go round. And if we aren't generating and instead only printing money with nothing to back it up, we are making sure that the day of reckoning gets closer by the minute. Americans want to work. Americans need to work. And our economy needs both. Hopefully, in the very near future, we will all be on the backside of this hump. We will be able to return to generating money, to generating revenue, and resuming our lives in a fashion that America is famous for and America loves. We need to get our second break of this hour out of the way. Call your elected representatives, email them, write them, demand accountability. Because if we don't, somewhere down the line, be it sooner or be it later, we will find ourselves right back where we find ourselves. And wouldn't that be one sad commentary? Just saying. Second break of hour 2. We get her done on the Clarence Bugg Show, right here on the Pelican.
For total home pest control, who are you going to call?
Call the Bug Man, 923-BUGS.
For total pest control for your home or business, call the original Salvat.
Call the Bug Man today, 923-BUGS.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Live and play on the Fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Contea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Contea, your Italian dining will change forever.
Exiles from what you ask? Exiled from the radio. But now, we're on your television.
I'm Bill Profita, he's Kevin Gallagher, and they kicked us to the curb.
But we're back.
We are back with Exiles Television on the Pelican Broadcasting Network. We're going to bring you the newsmakers. We're also going to take your calls and give you great information. It's going to be the best damn radio show on television.
Look for it on your cable system or download the app, PelicanSportsTV.com.
They said I could find you here. Why are you fishing? Our company's got to ship out 2 full color brochures and 20 color copies. You're killing me.
It's done. Designed, printed, packaged, and shipped.
How?
You just got to know the right people. Baker Printing, the printing people.
How come you get to fish in this private lake?
Like I said, you just got to know the right people. You can know the right people too.
Welcome back to hour 2 of today's edition of the Clarence Bugg Show. You know, as you get older in life, you, through the gathering of your wealth of life experiences, you start to feel certain ways about certain things. Example, nothing, particularly in the wake of this COVID-19 pandemic, nothing shocks me anymore. Disappoints me, yes. Shocks me, no. I was wondering what this past Sunday was going to be like for the Reverend Tony Spell and his church in Central after being put on house arrest. And you all are all familiar with the story. The church in Central City, there's another in Tampa, where the pastors there have blatantly refused to abide by the social distancing, the limiting of large gatherings, the whole nine. And Tony Spell showed up Sunday to minister to the flock wearing his ankle bracelet. It is not a surprise, but you keep hoping at some point those who are hell-bent on defying authority or whatever, you keep hoping that at some point maybe they will, quote, come around. It's very telling that individuals that fall into this category are becoming more and more firm in their resolve. At the same time, however, it leads you to wonder what's going on in the mind of individuals that are underneath these folks. Only about 100 people, a little more than 100, showed up for Sunday's service. And there had been reports prior to the COVID-19 pandemic of 1,000 plus regularly in attendance. Maybe, possibly, the parishioners are starting to figure out if everybody else is doing one thing and we're the only ones doing this thing, then maybe there's a little something to what everybody else is doing. It is one of those cases that if it weren't this guy, it would be somebody else. That is the blessing and the curse of America. It gives us the opportunity to engage in the, quote, pursuit of happiness. And what's happy for you may not be happy for someone else. Tony Spell, the Reverend Tony Spell, ministering from the pulpit, wearing his ankle bracelet. And you know, in hindsight, every time you talk about this pastor, every time you talk about an individual that has consistently defied all the orders, all the new norms, all the rationale, at some point in the conversation we all go, why don't they do something about this guy? Why don't they go down and arrest this guy? Why don't they shut him down? Why don't they? Well, at this point, I'm starting to think that that's what the individual wants, to be a, quote, martyr of sorts. And quite frankly, that's the last thing we need right now. Hopefully, when all of this subsides, a twinge of conscience will have him to come forth and apologize to those that have been impacted by it. Personally, I wouldn't wait on it, but that's just a hope. Just a hope. Just saying. Fortunately, there are a lot of folks out there that are willing to see things for what they are and take the necessary precautions to protect themselves. For those of us that have been going absolutely stir crazy because of a lack of sports on the weekends and during the week for that matter, little bitty, and I stress, little bitty glimmer of hope. The NBA announcing that their training facilities will begin reopening on Friday. I don't know what they know that we don't know, but an incremental step in the middle of the season, and you know, say what you will about Clarence, them just money hungry people, that NBA, they got to have people buying tickets and they need the TV revenue, and I get all that. I get all that. But when all is said and done, sports is not only an economic benefit in many cities and states in this nation, but it is also, for many others, a psychological relief. It is a release. It allows us to get away from the worries of the day, COVID-19, all the other stuff that's out there. It allows us to divorce ourselves from that just a little bit. And quite frankly, there may not be any way to accurately quantify all of this, but if you could go back and look at crime statistics during the course of this COVID-19 pandemic, you would probably be utterly amazed at the number of domestic violence incidents, the number, percentage points in alcoholism, and the number of crimes committed, primarily because people were impacted psychologically, emotionally by the COVID-19 pandemic. Just a small step, but the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. And the NBA announcing that they will start, and of course, as is the case with anything nowadays, any announcement being made, there are caveats to go with it. Nothing is going to be done without there being certain stipulations attached. It is just the new reality of what we find ourselves dealing with. But like everything else, we'll make it through. My man Marty, floor director extraordinaire, forgot to reset the clock for the break for me. So I will take a little personal point of privilege, a little liberty here as we come up to a quarter till the hour. We'll take our final break of today's edition of the Clarence Bugg Show. Stay close. Thank you, Marty.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Contea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Contea, your Italian dining will change forever.
Live and play on the Fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreysstoneCountryClub.com.
I'm injury lawyer E. Eric Gerard. There's a Superman comic where he leaves Earth and comes back only to find a bunch of other superheroes trying to fight evil but just not getting the job done. Well, I'm back. Now there's all these other lawyers on TV saying they can help you with their injury claim, but something's just not the same. There's only one Superman, and there's only one E. E. Eric Gerard, eGuarantee.com. Get the E, guarantee.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Welcome back for the final segment of today's edition of the Clarence Bugg Show. It is a day that probably since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, and particularly the stay-home orders here in Louisiana, it has probably been more anticipated than any other. Today, 4 o'clock this evening, Governor John Bel Edwards scheduled to lay out his plan for the soft reopening of our state and our economy. It's hard to resist the temptation of hoping for too much on one end or the other end. Obviously, it's not realistic to think that we can continue to operate this way, nor is it realistic to think that Governor John Bel Edwards will take the podium this afternoon and announce one of two things. Either problem solved, everybody go back to work, or nah, we're nowhere near where we need to be, we're going to extend this thing for another 30 days. That is always, as is the case with anything, a possibility, but I think, at least my gut tells me, Governor John Bel Edwards is going to offer us a glimmer of hope today, allowing certain businesses, certain agencies to reopen again with all sorts of caveats attached there. Regardless of to what degree this occurs, we may as well get used now to a new reality. If, in fact, certain restaurants are allowed to resume operations, then you know it's going to, in no way, shape, or form, resemble what it was before all of this. There will be greater distancing required inside. There will probably be PPE required for servers and folks that work in the restaurants. It will no way, shape, and form go back to the way it was, at least not anytime soon. So I say all that to say, going into 4 o'clock today, be as realistic as you can. Be as realistic as your mind and your thought processes will allow. It is not going to be flip a switch and everything go back to normal. There are some folk out there that are saying, well, Clarence, you better understand that the numbers being what the numbers are, we might have another 2 weeks, maybe even a month of stay-home orders. Well, if that is what the governor thinks is in our best interest, I will not second guess him in that regard. I would like to think that Governor John Bel Edwards has assembled the brightest minds in our state, is leaning on the best resources in the nation to make the determination of what is best for Louisiana. I don't doubt that. There are a lot of policy things that Governor John Bel Edwards and I go 180 degrees opposite on. But I tip my hat to him as far as how he has conducted himself, the office's affairs, and looking out for our health during the course of this pandemic. Now, make no mistake about it, Governor John Bel Edwards understands fully the economic impact that Louisiana is suffering from the COVID-19 pandemic. And he knows full well, as does the Louisiana legislature and other elected officials, that only time and the creation of revenue is going to solve this problem. That being said, the number of people walking around among us that are still deathly afraid and giving in to fear is a pretty high number. So Governor John Bel Edwards has that very delicate balancing act of health issues on one side, economic issues on the other. Hopefully, it'll be some good news today. More good news than bad news, I think, is the only realistic expectation for this 4 o'clock press conference. If you go in thinking it will be all good news, you're going to be sorely disappointed. If you go in thinking, well, it's going to be all bad news, you likewise, I hope, will be sorely disappointed. Don't let your highs get too high. Don't let your lows get too low. That way, you are emotionally, mentally, psychologically equipped to handle whatever it is that is going to be announced today. You know, there's an old saying in my line of work that politics makes strange bedfellows. And while that is true, and you can see, particularly in Louisiana, so many instances that bear that out, sports is one of those things as well. Don't know how many of you saw the New Orleans Saints are in the process of finalizing a deal to bring in Jameis Winston for a one-year contract as quarterback of the Saints. As a former Tampa Bay Buccaneer and as a former Florida State alum, I just can't see myself pulling for this guy. I'm being honest with you. Blame me if you will. I'm being honest. I have never been a Jameis Winston fan, but Clarence, if he can help the Saints win a Super Bowl, would you like him then? I don't know. It's still too early. Still too early. Oh, speaking of sports, as in Peter, Roger Cador, how are you, my friend?
Doing fine, Clarence, and you?
I am doing well. What's going on, big guy?
Man, just living the life.
Living the life. That sounds like a plan. Sounds like a plan. And am I wrong, Coach, if I'm letting the jury out for a while before I say, okay, Jameis Winston, good guy for the Saints?
Could be.
I knew that's what you were going to say.
Well, it could be because, you know, one thing about thing in professional sport, there are times people do mature and change, and they get in a different system, and they learn discipline, and they become better because obviously he does have ability, and he get in this nice system where things are much easier for him. It ain't all about his ability.
Right.
It's about the system. You got me?
That makes.
So
Go ahead.
And it makes it easier when he doesn't have to depend on he's got to make plays. All he's got to do is stay within the system, and the system will take care of him.
Obviously, Sean Payton, the Saints organization, are looking at his, quote, ability and think that he would be a good fit?
Plus, he's 26 years old. He's been in the league 6 years.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Coach. Because it's you, I'm going to go along with it. How about that?
Well, let me tell you something. Haven't been a coach, Mr. Bugs?
Real quick.
Haven't coached Mr. Bugs? You have to go along with some things with people.
That's a heck of a point. Coach, great to talk with you. Got to run, my friend. Time is just about out. That's something I hadn't thought about. Maturity, time spent in the league, but more important, going to an organization where you will be forced to live up to your potential or you're out. It is, after all, just a one-year deal. It's not like they're signing the guy for, a 5-year contract. So I'll wait and see. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. And if, in fact, that deal gets done, I'm not going to say I'll welcome him with open arms, but I'll be amenable to giving him the opportunity to improve or to prove himself. That's the best I can do, y'all. That's the best I can do. NFC South. How crazy is this? Brady in Tampa, Teddy in Carolina, now Jameis Winston in New Orleans. If I didn't know any better, I'd think these were crazy times. Still enough time left to say. Today more than any day ever. You're right. America, we're not perfect. But doggone it, for my money, it's the best there is. And God knows there is no place else on his green earth that I'd rather be. Speaking of the good Lord, you do realize by now that he loves you, right? And I hope you know, even if it's in the smallest of terms, that I do too. Best news you gonna get all day. There ain't a doggone thing you can do about either one. Replay tonight at 10, Profita and Gallagher here tomorrow. See you soon. God bless.